Welcome to Coffee and a Mic, everyone. I'm Chris Clark, President and CEO of the Queen Creek Chamber of Commerce. We'd like to thank SRP for making this possible today. And today we're joined by Mayor Julia Wheatley. Mayor, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for being here with us today.
Absolutely, always a pleasure.
So, not much going on in Queen Creek these days.
Nope.
There's quite a few things I know we want to talk about, but I was thinking we could start with a little bit about the LGE groundbreaking we were at the other day and what that means for Queen Creek, and then maybe a little bit about your vision and how you see things moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, very exciting. It was a construction update. So they're over halfway finished at this point. This is on our, what was state trust land. So it's in the northeastern part of Queen Creek, which we were able to annex several years ago. Which it's incredible win for the state because that benefits the 13 beneficiaries of the state, primarily K through 12 education, but a huge win for Queen Creek. What I see there is bringing a tremendous amount of jobs to our community. So 2,800 jobs in the first phase. And construction update was fantastic. If you've driven by, it's right off of Ironwood Road. Just a significant building that will bring a significant amount of jobs to the region. They will be finished and ready for production in next year, 2026. About spring, summertime. So, and I just see that as so many of our residents have to commute to work. And transportation is top priority, one of our top priorities, but how incredible for 2,800 people to not have to drive 45 minutes to an hour, only to turn around 8 hours later and drive 45 to an hour home when it's right here in our community. And so I love that. Again, that's phase one, and just significant to be able to really diversify Queen Creek. I remember when I first moved here in '07, it was, you know, a lot of a bedroom community. Essentially, we had great residential products, great families, and we're seeing a lot of commercial development now, because it follows those families in that rooftop, and now to be able to see that natural maturation of bringing employment to Queen Creek is really significant of it. And it makes Queen Creek a very well-balanced community. You need all of those things to work together.
I think that's one of the keys about that project. I think an interesting thing that was in one of the staff reports was that it's a $5 billion investment, which is probably more than everything else combined.
Yes, significantly. All the other development in Queen Creek, yeah.
Which is just crazy that it's all in that one project. But that we have jobs then during the daytime so that we can get those restaurants and things, the amenities that people are always asking for. Because if everybody's gone during the day, the restaurants can't survive with just nighttime business. So it really opens the door for a lot of development.
Yeah, we'll see a lot of, like you were mentioning, restaurants and retail around that area to support them with that many employees. We'll see a lot of locates for suppliers, you know, vendors to LG, or the just the advanced manufacturing, which is one of our goals to bring in.
Yeah, one of our key sectors that the town specifically targets is that advanced manufacturing piece, and you're seeing tremendous growth. So far, a lot of it on the Mesa side of the line, but those are Queen Creek people that are being employed there. And you still only have to drive a few minutes there to the Germain and Pecos area. We will get more of those on the state trust land as that happens. We do need to finish the 24. And I know you're a big lobbyist on our behalf for that. And so hopefully we get a few dollars on this particular budget for that. But along those lines, the LGE project here in town
Not
center.
to be confused, right?
Yeah, with the LGES. So LGE, we had the groundbreaking ceremony just the other day too, and tell us a little bit about that and then how you see that transforming Queen Creek.
Yeah, so that was just last week. I was sure to take a picture of the house on the corner that everyone asked about. As soon as they moved to Queen Creek, what's the story of the house on the corner? So I will be sad. You know, it's hard when things change, but growth is good. Growth is exciting. It brings the things that our residents want and continuously ask for. But we just broke ground on that last week. Very exciting. They will be, I've been needing to look this up, the amount of square footage for office space. So a significant amount of office space. So it's interesting. Every community is unique, right? Queen Creek is very unique. In other areas of the valley, office space is not a good investment. It's hard to get financing for office space. And so this is one of our first office space developments in 15 years. And so you think about the amount of population increase we've seen in Queen Creek in 15 years, and not to add true office space. So it's desperately needed. They're leasing very, very rapidly already. So again, I know a lot of business owners, talking to people in the chamber and just day to day, people that own businesses that want to locate in Queen Creek. They want to be in Queen Creek. Again, we don't want to have to commute outside of Queen Creek, and we want to offer these services right here in our own community where we live. It's the whole live, work, play theory, right? So so to be able to have that is huge, as well as some restaurants and retail, the type of restaurants, again, that residents are asking for, those local chains, if you will, like the Postino's that has that local flavor. And so those types of restaurants will be coming as well. So.
Yeah, the last design I saw was 30,000 square feet for the office building.
Okay.
And it'll go over there by the Nando's side of the Fiesta side of that. Mm-hmm. And then of course the restaurants in between, the Porch, Snooze, Postino's. Mm-hmm. It should be great. And then of course housing, so there'll be the luxury rental housing there. And we've had a couple of comments, I think, on social media about that. And I think one thing is, just a while back you guys directed staff to talk about where multifamily should go. And so one thing I like telling everybody about is our general plan, and that there's a really good plan in place. And so the town center was always designed to be higher density. And so having those apartments go in there is just part of that plan. Mm-hmm. But we still have some available land, right? And you see more going into those spaces as well?
So that's right. So there is a residential component to it. And if you look at our downtown, there's a name for it, downtown core plan, it talks about multifamily housing. And so that's been part of the plan. And if you look at successful downtowns, housing is a component of it. And it's difficult because, again, Queen Creek being unique, a lot of residents aren't particularly fond of multifamily. But I always tell people it's important in the right places. And so for myself, I'll support residential in certain areas. Along the interstate, it makes a lot of sense. Next to employment areas, it makes a lot of sense. In our downtown, for those types of restaurants to be successful, they need that vibrancy of people that live there all the time. That can because our residents constantly say we don't want the big box names. We don't want the and so with the cost of land in Queen Creek, it's astronomical. And we talked about the house on the corner, and a comp like that doesn't help, but drive the cost of land in Queen Creek up. And so having residential as a component really helps those types of development, those small mom and pop local restaurants, to be able to be successful when that residential component is there. So we understand where our residents are at with that, but also understand in order to make the type of community that we want, that all of those pieces working together, it does make sense in certain areas. And so I'm not sure if we're going to talk about housing, but it's always top of mind. But at the one thing being mayor, a major difference from me from being council member to mayor is being at the state regularly and advocating for things that Queen Creek needs or things that that take our local control away. And one of them is housing. And so year after year, it is trying to fight the battle of being able, of developers being able to put
Whatever they
multifamily
want.
on any parcel of land. And even though it's zoned R143 for 1 acre lots or half acre lots, okay, the state's now mandating that you have 20 units to the acre on that 1 acre. And so that's the difficult thing, is recognizing, you know, the state says, sorry if I'm taking us in a different direction.
No, it's great.
The state says we need more housing. Our residents say, okay, but we want it to be the type of housing we want, and trying to make those mesh where, okay, let's bring the type of housing the state wants in certain areas where it makes sense, but allow us the ability to still have our general plan, our master plan that says, no, our residents, they want live animals, they want half acre lots, you know. And so it's trying to balance that from what the state is telling us. You don't have the ability to control yourself. There's just a blanket by right zoning.
I think, yeah, the latest one, and for those that watch our video updates every month, know how I felt about that particular bill. And no design standard whatsoever. And it could go anywhere that there's empty land. It's insane, but it's a conversation that's happening across the country, which then makes you have to say, really, is zoning a problem across the entire country? There are certainly some places, they point out Flagstaff quite a bit, Tucson, and I think that's up to those people. They can go to their council members, they can go to their mayor and say, hey, we think we should have more apartments or more casita-style housing or whatever it is. I think that's the beauty of local control, as you mentioned. So along those lines, though, but we're 60% built out, 70%?
We are, let's think about this, yeah, about 60%.
And then we have a lot of land that's already platted. But a while back, the governor, unfortunately, made an unfortunate statement that said there would be no more building in Queen Creek because we're out of water. I don't know, my tap still flows. Water still seems to be coming out of all the places it should be. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. I really feel like that was a huge disservice for the state of Arizona. So there was essentially a 4% deficit over 100 years. And yet this was telecast to the entire world, to the entire country, that...
Our 100-year plan that we have
Yes.
was coming up 4% short.
Yes. So Arizona has been great at planning for water, and but I just look at the impacts that had to the state of Arizona when, you know, a lot of people already, they think if they haven't been here, or maybe they have been here, it's just a desert, right? It's dry, it's desert, there's no water. We can't relocate our headquarters there.
Yeah.
And so it's unfortunate that was broadcast. But what it allowed us to do for Queen Creek is tell our story and tell what we've been doing to secure our water. We are a piece of legislation that we're working really hard on right now is our Ag to Urban bill. And so we've been working on this year after year, and we're hopeful that this year we'll be successful on that. But essentially what it does is it allows us to convert the credits from agricultural use over for residential. And so if you look at that over the 100-year time frame, that saves the Phoenix area management. It's between 7 and 9.5 million feet of water over that 100 years. So it's significant, and it allows us to continue to develop, recognizing that we're using less water today than we did 70 years ago.
I think that's a really key part that lots of people don't know. Since the 50s, as a whole, we've been using less water because as we build houses on what used to be cotton fields, you can save water. So 1 acre of cotton, I think they usually equate to 40 residences. So as we build on farmland, we're actually saving that water. And the Ag to Urban bill would give us credit for some of that.
Yeah, and we're just doing things that no other community's done. It's fun. I was talking to a resident just a couple nights ago, and he says to me, he's like, why don't we pipe water the way that we pipe oil and gas? He's like, then every community would have water. I'm like, it's interesting you say that because Queen Creek is the first community to do that. And so we are piping water, Harquahela, and we literally just inked the deal yesterday. That's been 7 years in the making because no other community has done it. So to be able to take water from an area that used to use it for agricultural purposes and now to be able to provide it to residents, to households, and that will flow through the CAP canal directly right here to Queen Creek. And so again, it's never been done before. It took a lot of 7 years. 7 years to make it happen, and so just successful on closing that yesterday. So,
congratulations!
Thank you.
I think that's the key point for people to take away is that we're very fortunate in Queen Creek. Staff is recognized here as being the kind of go-to for the state. So people call and ask our water manager for information. And then you, as a mayor and council, have done a great job of diversifying. So there's not many communities that are as diversified in their water supply as Queen Creek is.
Yeah, it is. This bill is really important for us because of the recent decisions, we aren't able, certain areas, there's not a lot, but there's certain areas in Queen Creek that we will not be able to develop. Those landowners will not be able to develop unless we are able to come to an agreement, hopefully again this year with our legislature.
We'll keep working on that one when they're not focused on no design standards.
Yes, yes.
We can get on to water.
Well, and sometimes they forget they're hand in hand, right? So they want to increase production of housing,
right,
but we got to make sure we have the water to do it. And so unless they give us the tools to be able to provide the water for these new residential areas that they just said we can't develop.
Exactly.
You got to draw the line somewhere.
So we were talking about the general plan, and that calls for about 4 to 8 units per acre. And the legislation that we're talking about with no design standards would increase that to 20 units per acre. So water goes up significantly.
And that's by right.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think we covered that one. But so one of the things about the LGE property here in town and this area that's right here by the chamber, as you're driving through town between Aldecoa and Munoz, there's some empty land right there. The town does a really good job of buying up land. And why do you do that?
It's interesting. So, you know, I'm very excited about our downtown and the potential of our downtown. And so I actually wish the town owned more land in our downtown. You look to other areas, like Gilbert has a great downtown. A big reason of why theirs is so successful is because they owned so much land in their downtown. So they could really have a hand in developing it the way that they wanted it developed. So with the LGE, the creation development, that was town-owned land, and we put out a request for proposal and said, this is what we're looking for. And come to us with your ideas and your proposal, and we get to choose. Now, someone that is a firm believer in private property rights, as a private property owner, you can build what you want to build, right? And sometimes it doesn't fit exactly within a vision of a community. And one thing I'm proud that we did, this was several years ago, but we did an overlay district in our downtown that prohibited future drive-throughs, mini storages, car washes, those types of things from our downtown. Because otherwise they will just gobble up the land. That's where they want to be too, right? They're going to be
where
successful in a downtown. So that was something we were able to successfully do, is to create that overlay to help with our vision. But truly, the town owning the land, we can really carry out our vision, because if we have a better vision for it, we choose the developer that encapsulates that vision better. Whereas if it's a private property right, and it's not one, or if it's a private property owner, and it's not one of those things, they can build
whatever they
choose.
want.
Yeah.
Whether
as
it's
long
going
as
to
it
fit
fits in the zoning, sure.
Whether it's going to fit the overall look or not.
So it really, with the town being able to do that, we're really able to make this cohesive plan, that walkable, vibrant downtown community that you want to see. And it's not so much piecemeal.
And I think that's the key. So there's a plan.
Yes.
And I like to say that from the podium when I'm addressing council. We have a plan. It's a good plan. And usually it's stick to the plan, which you guys always do. So, but people can be involved in that planning process. And so we were over the years, and every so often it has to be renewed and updated, and the town puts out notices, and really important for people to attend those meetings. On social media, we'll see stuff all the time. Who's deciding these things, backroom deals, things like that, but usually it's just a matter of not participating.
It's a very public process, yeah.
Yeah, and you can go online and pull the documents and see how they got there. So I think those are the key things. Some of the documents that you can pull also are the town's budget. And so last year, you and the council made a big deal of cutting the budget, but this year looks like it got cut again.
Yeah.
So very fiscally responsible and conservative there. But tell us a little bit about that and that process.
Yeah. So this year it's a $628 million budget, so it is significant. It is less than last year. I think that's something very important to note. Usually in government, it just grows. It always grows, right? You might close out one project and there's something else that fills it. And so I am very proud of the town manager recommends this budget, but for that recommendation and for the council, we haven't taken final vote on it. We'll do that shortly, but to be able to continually be fiscally responsible. And so for a growing community, is growing as rapidly as we are, I think that's important to notate. We are living within our means and not constantly bloating that budget year after year.
Getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
But one of the concerns that people might have is we still have a lot of needs as a growing community. So we have transportation issues, we have parks that we still need. At least most of us think we still need them. How is that at the expense of cutting the budget for the sake of cutting the budget?
So what you got to think about is a lot of those are one-time costs. So in our budget, over half of our budget is invested in infrastructure. And that's been the case. That's really what you want to look at for a growing community. How much is being invested in infrastructure, right? So if you think about last year, so we just wrapped up Frontier Family Park. The aquatic center, the rec center, we had a big trail improvement, a lot of very big transportation projects. I think about the transportation. I drive down Ocotillo all the time, and every time I'm like, this is so glorious. Like, it's just so nice. But there's so many areas like that, just big projects. Remarkably, the most was in our parks. So we did have a lot of those one-time costs that finished out this last year. And so as far as not continuing to make other things a priority, that's not the case whatsoever. Again, over half our budget is infrastructure, from transportation to water to wastewater, the things that are really important for a growing community.
I was just talking about this the other day at the luncheon. So in the 20 years that I've been here, we've added the trash service. We've added the fire department as we transitioned from rural metro and subscriptions. And then we transitioned from MCSO to our own police force. And not only that, but then controlling how much policing we actually have, which is a really good amount. So we've managed to do all of that and still have a responsible budget. So we are very appreciative of that.
And my favorite part is, and again, we'll vote on this in a few weeks, but it looks like the direction of the council is to continue our property tax freeze, which what that does over time is reduce the property tax rate. And so being able to do all of those things that you mentioned, and another one is we added ambulance services. But to be able to continually do all of these things and reduce that property tax for our residents, it's a huge win for me.
Yeah, agreed. So services are going up, budget's coming down, which is a pretty remarkable thing. And I think it was just 2 years ago that you fully funded all of the pensions, so we don't have that big liability out there either. So truly remarkable for you and the council, so congratulations on that. Speaking of parks, just opening up the aquatic center as it's heating up as we film this at the middle of May. Lots of talk on social media about the aquatic center and the rec center, but I think one of the things I mentioned that we still need parks and having kids in the community, as you do. That's our only rec and aquatic center, which we are so happy for and we've been waiting for, but it serves 85,000 people now, just in Queen Creek, and the facility just can't hold that many,
Right.
can it?
Yeah, I think the occupancy is like 500, right? So when you think of a community that's at least 85,000 residents, it will be busy nonstop. And so it is, in our master plan, that's the one and only. We don't have several aquatic centers around Queen Creek. That will be the only one. We took this out to our residents through surveys and amenities that they wanted to see, and this is what they responded back with. Over 75% said they want to see an aquatic center. And so being able to, this is what our residents asked for, and recognizing that they're the ones that are paying for the infrastructure to build it, but also those ongoing operating costs from year to year. And so being able to provide this to our residents is very important to us. And there's only only such a large capacity that it can hold.
Right, so there's rules set up around attending and getting passes and things like that. So I know growing up with community pools, that was a big thing, going and hanging out there with all of the other kids in the community. So hopefully our kids enjoy that as well.
Yes.
We do have more parks coming online though, or in the planning stages. Is that correct?
We do. So we just purchased property. Oh goodness. It is, let me think about this.
Meridian.
Thank you. Meridian and Combs. So we just purchased that, and that was just at our last council meeting.
Is it complete?
Is it complete? No, so that'll be for a future.
But I mean, the deal is done.
We just approved.
Moving forward with it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think it's been actually purchased, but we approved the purchase. So we will have that. There is another property, is it Meridian and Queen Creek? We changed the name from, it used to be Pinal, or excuse me, Pima, but we've recently changed the name to Queen Creek Road all the way through Queen Creek.
Through our part.
Yep, so secured land on Meridian and Queen Creek. And then just south of the high school, we also have an agreement for a future park site.
So we have a few more coming on.
Yeah. Again, if we don't secure them now, that land will be gone. And so we won't have the opportunity, although we just invested tremendously in our parks and recreation. We also recognize with how quick we're developing and growing, if we don't secure that land now, then we won't have the opportunity to. And those are high growth areas in Queen Creek.
Yeah, and back to the fiscally conservative plan, planning ahead, buying at the right times. I think one of the keys that struck me when I first got involved with all of the planning processes was that there were going to be fewer parks, but better parks. And then partnering in some cases, like over at Mansell Carter, partnering with Banner for the playground area. Which is truly an amazing one, I think is an innovative way of making sure the community gets what they need.
Yeah, and it's interesting, so state law changed several years ago that impact fees can only go towards a 30-acre park. So I don't know why 30 acres is the golden number, but that's what they decided.
That's what they picked, so it would stay small. They don't want to see Taj Mahals of parks.
But when you purchase a new home and you pay an impact fee, and it goes to the philosophy of growth pays for growth, where if we were still a small community, we wouldn't need that many parks, or we wouldn't need that many lanes. But those impact fees go to help pay for that infrastructure. And so, so you will see a mix of some 30-acre parks, some larger parks. So, yeah.
Well, that'll be great. Anything that we haven't touched on that you would like to bring up?
You know, we touched on the State Route 24. That's always top of mind, continuing to fight for funding for that. We secured $87.5 million a couple years ago. The governor clawed that back. We were successful in getting about $60 million back. But what I'm very excited about, the recent Proposition 479 that just passed last year, that will help us build out the State Route 24 in the Queen Creek area, which we first started out with the employment and industrial development up there, and how much that will impact the growth in what other type of employers and companies that are brought there. So continuing to fight for that, but recognizing that there is a portion that's being funded through, and that's because it's a 20-year plan. So we're getting the funding through Prop 479 within the first phase, which is significant. So to be able to fully improve that area, so it's in the middle of design for those intersections. So that's significant for not only those that commute, but also, again, for the type of development we're bringing in there.
Yeah, whenever I talk to the state or anybody, I talk about the 24 Parkway and how nice it would be to turn it into an actual freeway.
Yeah.
Because I don't want them thinking it's done.
Right, and I always remind, it looks just like a regular street. It's a four-way stop.
Yeah.
It's not grade separated, it is just another street. Now, we appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, because it's another street.
But we need a full functioning freeway.
We need to get those
interstate.
Freeways with the overpasses,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And as they consider more money for the 303 and the 202 on the west side, that's we need it over here at the 24.
Yeah, and the town's invested over $100 million in our arterials. to get to the State Route 24. So we've done our portion getting to the freeway, so those funds from Prop 479 are kicking in, but it's just continually fighting for how can you deny the growth out here, and we have to have more funds for transportation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for
Yes.
your time today.
I love talking about
We appreciate it. Any final questions from the audience?
Nothing?
I think we.
Nothing? Yes.
Just a comment, I just wanted to congratulate you guys on the Harpo-Halo project. Just realizing the forward thinking that you and your staff, commend everyone, for just securing that, because that is so challenging to take water, groundwater from another area that's all the way from the west side and then to wheeling it over here to secure the water for your future growth. It's really amazing. So congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate that. We have fantastic experts in the area in our water department. There's not a lot of experts in water. It's such a complex issue, but we definitely have the brightest minds when it comes to water in our town utilities and water department. So hats off to them for sure. Thank you.
Can I ask one about roads?
Yes.
So I am over in Sossaman and Queen Creek area. Any updates on that roundabout or anything that you can talk about?
Okay, that's
always such a fun.
That's a good question. I will have to, let me get an update on that and tell you where we're at. I know we finished design, so I'll get with you on that one. So it's funny, I was talking about roundabouts the other day, and people don't love them in Queen Creek, or not just in Queen Creek, but in Arizona. But if you look at statistically safety, it will blow your mind. Like you look at it, and it makes all the sense in the world to do in certain areas to do roundabouts. And so
It's harder to run a roundabout. I mean,
Yes,
you
that's a
can
good
not
point.
yield, but you can see everybody coming. And,
yes.
But if you've been up to Sedona, though, my
They have a
goodness.
lot of roundabouts.
Whoa.
They have a lot of roundabouts.
I get a little car sick going through all of those.
This will be our first one, so, and I don't know of any others planned, but it makes sense in that location. I'll get you an update.
Wonderful. Well, Mayor, thank you so much for your time, and thank you to SRP for making this all possible, and thank you to all of you for spending your morning with us. Big round of applause.